Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT, and that's in thanks to all of my subscribers. I got a bunch of requests to actually review this vehicle, so I'm doing it for you guys. This particular Elantra GT is a N-Line, and it has the 6-speed manual, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will be excited about. First and foremost, a big shout out to Ken Garf Hyundai here in Southtown for providing us with the vehicle. If you're on the market for a Hyundai, check these guys out. But we'll do a quick walk around on the Elantra GT, then we will take it out to see how it drives. If you are stopping in for the first time, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. Looking under the hood here of the 2019 Elantra GT, there's two different engine options, a turbocharged 1.6 liter and then a naturally aspirated 2 liter 4-cylinder. Both of them are 4-cylinder motors. You can get a couple different transmission options. You can get a 6-speed manual, or you can get a 6-speed automatic with that 2 liter, or you can get a 7-speed automatic with the 1.6 liter turbocharged motor. Fuel economy is going to be 25 around town, 32 on the highway. And then in terms of power outputs, that 2 liter is going to be good for 161 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. This 1.6 liter turbocharged motor is going to be good for 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. The color on this particular Elantra GT is actually called Intense Blue. It's actually a really cool color. But stepping up front here, we can see we've got a bunch of projector bulbs right here for the regular lights and then for your high beams. And then you can see you've got like little LED accents just below. I like the design of the front grille. It kind of has like a more aggressive design compared to normal Elantras, and this new body style they've done actually looks pretty cool. And just like the headlight assembly and all that with like the overall design is just a really kind of cool and more aggressive look for it. Coming around to the side here, we have these 18-inch wheels. You can see you've got the Michelin tires that are wrapped around those. This does have the N-Line suspension, so suspension is going to be a little bit tighter since this is the sportier trim. And you can see that these are actually 225 millimeter for the tire setup on these. Here is the key fob here for the Elantra GT. It's got your lock and unlock function, and then you have a hold basically for that. That will release the tailgate for you, but it's our keyless entry key fob. It looks really good overall and it has a nice design to it. Come around to the back here, we can actually open up the Elantra GT. You can see it's a traditional hatchback design right there. You can fold down the rear seats. For the back passengers, there's a full-size little spare tire back here. They keep the floor mats there, but they give you a little cargo cover so you can cover your stuff. But I like the design on the rear, and it's actually a decent amount of space, especially for a smaller sized hatchback. That is hydraulic function, so just have to throw it back down, and then we can look at the rear design. The spoiler on the top of the hatchback looks pretty cool. Got dual exhaust, and then you kind of have like a wannabe looking rear diffuser right there. It's kind of a neat design. It says N-Line and then Elantra GT on the rear, and you do get these nice LED accent lights on the back. Now in the rear right here, we have the paneling, so soft touch right there, your window controls, and then that's just your regular little door handle. There are some cup holders. The seats back here, there's actually a decent amount of space. I actually have the seat where I would sit driving wise. Got little climate controls right here, but they've got this nice contrasted red stitching. And then if we pull down the cup holders right here, it's a little armrest, some cup holders. But like I said, legroom back here is actually a good amount for a small size car. We have keyless entry in the front, so one touch to lock it. To unlock it, you just have to press it again, and that'll unlock the Elantra GT for you. Stepping in, step-in height's actually pretty good for it, and we can look at the panel here for the Elantra GT. I'm just coming inside because it's starting to rain, but all of our window controls are right here. You have your controls for the mirror, and then we have all of our cup holders right there, and then more soft touch. To start up the Elantra GT, you actually have to push the clutch in since this is a 6-speed manual. Push the push start. Gauges will do a sweep. It'll say the system check right there, and then the car will start right up. Now we have all of our controls for the cruise control right here, and then our pages button as well. We'll go over the pages button momentarily. And then on the other side of the steering wheel, we have our controls for the Bluetooth radio. All of that you can control just on the front of the steering wheel. It has a little N at the bottom, Hyundai logo front and center, more of that red stitching. I like the design of the steering wheel. It actually feels really nice in your hands actually to hold. It's kind of like a sportier feeling steering wheel. It has these fat grips at the top. Here's the little gauge cluster for the Elantra GT. As you can see, we've got our RPMs on the left side. On the right side, we have our speedo, and then left side again, you've got a little temperature gauge, and then you have the fuel gauge, and then there's that little center screen that's all configurable that you can kind of scroll through a bunch of different menus. I'll scroll through these for you guys so you can kind of look at all the different things that you can go through. I'm just going to leave it to be a speedometer though. This has Hyundai's upgraded touchscreen unit, so you have little buttons on the side of the touchscreen with your analog radio controls. And this touchscreen is actually really responsive, has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as well. But like I said, the response time that happens on this touchscreen is really, really quick. You can do your calling, texting, Bluetooth, everything through this little infotainment system. And if we actually pop the Elantra GT into reverse, which let me show you how to do that first. So pull up on here, push over, and then up. The backup camera will pop up. You have trajectory lines that'll turn with the steering wheel, and the resolution on that's actually pretty good. Now you've got vents just down below there, and then we have a separate area for the climate controls right here. It is a dual zone climate in this, which is kind of uncommon for this segment. Most of these smaller size cars, they don't even offer that. And then just below there, we can see we've got a little charging stations for the USB and 12 volt, but you can cover that up if you don't want to see that anymore. Now I already kind of showed this when I went over the shifter, but here's your shifter for that 6-speed manual. You can get that 7-speed automatic with this if you prefer the automatic, but I'm sure a lot of you guys getting this car are going to go for this manual. Heated seat controls right there, and then just below we have our electronic parking brake and then the auto hold with some cup holders. And then there is the little center console over here. It's got stitching. It's nicely lined with leather, and then in there we've got a little charging station. Now staying on to storage right here, here's the glove box. Decent amount of storage space on that side of things. You're going to find all your owner's manuals and all that in the glove box, and I actually found the window stick here in the glove box. It wasn't on the window, so going to give you guys a little sneak peek on that right now. So let's just pull that right off the dash for you guys. So here's the window sticker for this Elantra GT. You can see the total price right there, and then you can see all the options that this particular one has. I'm just going to kind of give you a little overview right like that. So if you want to pause the video to be able to go over all of that, you can. Now these seats have these nice big bolsters. I don't know if this will come through on the camera very well. It looks like it is. There's kind of this design that looks, it's the leather, but it looks like kind of carbon fiber, just with how they do the design. I think that is so cool that they do that. But they've got the red piping too. It says N on the back of the seat. These seats are really comfortable. They do hold you in place really well. You can fit larger size people in these pretty comfortably actually though. Now wrapping things up on the interior of the Elantra GT, it's actually a really nice premium interior, especially for the segment. The touchscreen, super nice infotainment system. And I'm excited to drive this. It'll be pretty sporty to drive, I imagine. So let's just get right into that drive portion on the video. Setting off here in the 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT, and just in the nick of time I got done with the exterior filming because of course it decided to start raining again. First setting off here in the Elantra GT, and I'm noticing that the clutch is super light on this car. I mean, it is really easy just to push it in, and to go through the gears as well. It's super easy. It's one of the easier manual transmissions to use. Now stopped here right now, in terms of like interior cabin noise is actually really good. There's a good amount of sound deadening for the cabin here. I don't hear a whole lot on the exterior. It's kind of in that like good in-between area where it's just the right amount where you can still hear the exhaust but then don't hear everything else around you. In old Ben Hardy video style, because I haven't gone on the highway with a car in a minute, I'm going to take it on the interstate to see how it drives on the interstate. Now before we go on the interstate, this actually rev match downshifts really easy. It's actually pretty easy to get it into the just to match the RPMs when you are downshifting on this car. Now in terms of acceleration, I wasn't expecting much with 201 horsepower, but it's actually really quick for the car. Noise and ride quality on the interstate, it's a little bit tighter suspension, so you're going to be able to corner better with this car, but you are going to lose out in terms of ride quality. On the interstate, it's going to be a little bit bumpier. And then the road noise is pretty normal for a car in this segment. I know I didn't mention steering feel on the car. The car is super direct with the steering. I mean, it goes right where you want it to go. There is absolutely like no play in the steering at all, and it has like kind of a lighter and slower speed, but I'm noticing at the higher speeds the steering kind of stiffens up a little bit, and so you do get a little bit more steering feel. I can kind of tell what's happening on the front tires. To wrap things up on the Hyundai Elantra GT, this is in that fun sporty hatchback segment, and I actually, you know, think that the comment that I got on this car was, you know, people telling me to review this is they're like, everyone forgets about this car, and I can see that, you know, because the brand or something is why they forget about it. This is actually a really fun and capable sporty car, especially for the, you know, segment that it's in. And so if you're actually in the market for like a hatchback, so, you know, Mazda 3, Toyota Corolla, all that kind of stuff, this is definitely on the sportier side of things. And so if you are on the market for like kind of like a fun hatchback that's not going to break the bank, then you definitely have to check out the Elantra GT. And this N spec, totally worth it. And there we have it, everyone, the 2019 Hyundai Elantra GT. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Again, big shout out and thank you to Ken Garf Hyundai here in Southtown. If you're on the market for a Hyundai, definitely check these guys out. But as always, if you're stopping in for the first time, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and then I will see all of you in that next video.